Welcome back. Again, my name is Scott Harris, and this is the latest in a series of videos documenting my comic collection for insurance purposes. In the last videos, we've gone through my Avengers collection. I have a full run of Avengers, also a complete run of Captain America. We looked at that, looked at up through 150. We also looked at the Journey of Mystery and Thor 86 through 200. Now, in this video, we're going to be looking at key comics from my collection that don't really fall into any of those categories from other titles. We'd also looked at boy comics. I have almost a complete run of that. But I have a number of comics series where, most of the issues really aren't worth that much. But I do have some key issues or some high-grade issues that I want to highlight here. As part of my collection, for instance, I have a full run of Jonah Hex, original series and new series, as well as Weird Western, All-Star Western, full runs of stuff like Starman, Sandman Mystery Theater, Warlord, Unknown Soldiers, including the Star Spangled War Stories, The Losers in Our Fighting Forces, Green Arrow, Fables, ElfQuest, ROM, Ghost Rider Volume 1, All-Star Squadron, Invaders, that sort of thing. I have almost a complete run of Sergeant Fury, but since I don't have issue 1, I don't want to really do a video for that yet. At some point I probably will do a video. I have Wonder Woman 177 to 329. I've got Doctor Strange, a huge run, starting with Strange Tales 134 and going through the end of the second volume, Strange Tales number 19. So there's a lot of stuff, as well as almost a full set of all Superman family titles from the 1971 relaunch up until the end of Crisis. So that's hundreds and hundreds of comics. But since most of those are, worth $2 or $3 or $5 or $1 each, it's just not, it doesn't make sense to really film all of them. It would just take way more time than it's worth. So instead, we're just going to look at some of the keys from my books, high grade stuff, from the 20-cent era and before, as well as, again, key books. So there'll be hopefully some stuff of interest, a lot of different titles here, and we're starting off with a couple of CGC books. I don't have a lot of CGC books, but I do have this here. It's All-Star Western, number 10, first appearance of Jonah Hex. This is a CGC 7.0. By today's values, I'm not really sure what this would go for, probably $250. That's just a guess. I got this back in 1988, I want to say. I paid $14.95 for it. I had to borrow the money from my youth pastor. I'm not sure how many other people can say that they got money from their youth pastor to buy All-Star Western number 10. Probably nobody. I just had a feeling I wasn't going to see another copy this nice or at all for a reasonable price, so I just had to have it. And since I did not have the money, my youth pastor, who was a big baseball card collector, he understood what I meant and lent me the money. Here's my copy of Fables number 1. This is a 9.6. I set this into CGC. I was hoping it would get a 9.8. It was very close. Still not entirely sure. I'm just not really good enough with these moderns to understand the difference between 9.6 and a 9.8. I got this off eBay in a collection, issues 1 through 7, although one of the issues was missing. And they were all basically unread copies. I think they would all be 9.6s or 9.8s. I don't really see a reason to spend any money getting the rest of them CGC'd. I do have a full run of Fables. It's a cool book. First 75 issues are a really good read. After that, it kind of goes downhill. Alright, here's my copy of Adventure Comics 381. It's a very nice copy. It's probably... It might get an 8.5 on a good day. It's probably more realistically an 8.0. But it's a beautiful copy, and this is a really underrated book. It's the first solo Supergirl title. Previous to this, she had a backup in Action for a full decade before finally getting her own book. And, it's underrated again. Like I say, she did have her own series for a long time. Her series in Adventure lasted for over 40 issues, and then she immediately graduated to her own book, lasted for another 10. So it was a pretty long-running series. I don't think this gets quite as much love from the fans as it should, but it's kind of a minor Silver Age key. Here's my copy of 417. Got a really, I got this for $2 at a comic show, and it's just in beautiful shape. I would say it's probably a 9.0. Might even get a little bit higher. I think with a press and clean, you might get a 9.2 out of it. Here's a classic Kaluta cover. I bought this just for the cover. I actually have 2 copies. I do have a reader copy. This is... I bought it off eBay graded as an 8.0. It probably is an 8.0. Might sneak up to an 8.5. It's got a spine tick right here that's pretty noticeable because it's in the black. It's got a couple smaller ones up here. But it's a wonderful looking copy, particularly because it has a perfect wrap on it. It's almost impossible to get the double bullet DC design where you actually have both of the bullets complete. And in this case, they're lined up absolutely perfectly with the top edge and the side edges on both sides. I don't think it's possible to get a better wrap than this for a 20-cent DC from this era. So as soon as I saw this, an 8.0 with that kind of wrap, I bought it immediately. Paid $20 for it. I think that was a good deal. All-Star Western number 11. Second appearance of Jonah Hex, the last issue of All-Star Western before they changed the title to Weird Western. This copy is probably a 7.0, just like the other one. It might be a 6.5. It does have, right here, a little bit of creasing here, like a little thumb bend from someone flipping the pages open. It might still sneak into a 7.0. It's got nice bright colors. I paid $25 for this back in the late 80s, probably 88 or 89. I think today it'd probably be worth $80 or $100. Random issue of Archie 195. Nice copy, 7.5, 8.0. Top staple has a little bit of rust on it, holds it back. Archies from this era are notoriously difficult to find in high grade. Even though the title was selling like gangbusters, one of the best-selling series of the day, because the band and the cartoon were so popular. But even though they were selling hundreds of thousands of copies of all their titles, they were basically not to comic collectors, so most of the readers did not keep them in good shape. It's very easy to find Archies from this era for less than $1 each, but they're almost always going to be completely trash. It's really hard to find nice copies. I do have a few that we'll be seeing here. Here's some more Captain Americas. In my other overview, I stopped with 150, just because, after that, they're not really worth that much. However, I do have some higher grade issues here. When I was putting together, deciding what to keep in my Mylars, and, I just look nice, I decided to go with a 20-cent price as a cutoff. So here are some higher grade Captain Americas up through the 20-cent era. Nice black frame cover. It's probably a 7.0. Here's another nice black frame cover. It's always nice to get these in good condition. This is probably only about a 6.5. Maybe only a 6 technically. It's a little hard to say. It does have a little bit of creasing here, and it has some stress lines, which of course pop in the black. In this case, they're not egregious though, and because it's so hard to find nice high grade black frames, it looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. There's a nice copy of 154. I mentioned in one of my other videos how hard it is to find high grade white covers. This is a case in point. Structurally, it's really sharp. However, it is a little dirty and faded in this area here. The whites are better on this side, but on here, it's hard to tell whether that's tanning or dirt. But for white covers, it's actually pretty white. It's not as nice as my Avengers 106, but it's still probably a 7.0. Really nice copy of 157 with the black cover. It's probably an 8.0. Since we're into my keys and high grades, unlike some of my other videos, we'll actually get to see a lot of nice looking comics in higher grade. A little bit of a miswrap here with a white stripe down the side. Some people don't care about that. I don't really like it. I think it's kind of ugly. I mean, it makes it look like it's rolled, even though it's not. It's production related. Still, this is another black cover. So again, hard to find in high grade, and this is actually pretty nice. It might be as high as an 8.5 with a press. Who knows? It could go even higher. 160. This is what I think of as the half frame era. Very brief after they finished the full frames. You've seen this in the last couple issues as well. I went to a half frame where the logo is separated from the rest of the book. Here we have a nice yellow cover. And this is probably a 7.0. That's going to be a common grade for a lot of these. It's hard for me to really give books higher than a 7.0 unless they're really nice. Although again, here's one that I think would be more like 7.5 or even an 8. It does have a couple of spine ticks here. I think this could easily get an 8, even with that nice black cover again with the yellow claw. You notice a theme here. I don't know why, but for some reason, even though it's harder to find the black covers in nice shape, in my own collection, I actually have the black covers in higher grade than the regular covers. Another black background up here in the half frame we were just talking about. The original Moonstone makes an appearance here. Again, probably an 8.0. Of course, I always love yellow covers. Nice high-grade Captain America 171. Kind of a minor key if you're a big Falcon fan. This is the first appearance where he gets his new costume, well, with the wings. Black Panther makes it for him so he can fly. Up until this point, the Falcon's just been, he has, you know, a pet bird, but other than that, he's just a dude that runs around punching people. I don't know why it took him 50 issues to figure out a guy named Falcon would be cool if he could actually fly. But they finally figured it out. Here's the last Captain America we'll be looking at. Another nice high grade, another black cover, great Gil Kane art, and also an X-Men appearance here. This is during the period when X-Men's own title had been canceled. So for X-Men fans, you kind of have to track them through other titles if you want to follow their adventures. Here's a Banshee cover. The X-Men, the whole team would appear on some later covers during the storyline. And this is the classic Steve Englehart storyline where Captain America ends up quitting when he discovers that the leader of the secret empire is actually Richard Nixon. Captain Savage number 11. In terms of Captain Savage books, this is one of the key issues, I guess. If you want to put it that way, because it has a Sergeant Fury guest spot. Kind of a weird cover. This copy is more of a mid-grade. It's like a 6.5, but because of the spine ticks here, it's got a little bit of dings over here. It might sneak into the 7 range. I think 6.5 is probably more to be safe. Here's another Sergeant Fury appearance. A few spine ticks here, but this is probably still a 7.5. Nice red frame cover. It's a cool series. Here's a Daredevil 69. Nice black cover. A little bit of tanning around the edge here. A few spine ticks. Again, probably another 8. I don't remember why I own this. I think there must be an Avengers appearance in it. You can see Black Panther is in it. The back cover does have dust shadow around the edge, a little bit of tanning, so it might only be a 7.5. Here's a nice high-grade Defenders 9. I've had this a long time. Beautiful bright white cover. You can see here what I'm talking about compared to the previous Captain America cover. This one it's just like blindingly white. Does have a miswrap that's kind of ugly here, but beautiful high grade. Hesitate to guess on the grade, at least an 8.5, I'd say. Just wonderful white colors on that. Here's the Doctor Strange 169, the first issue of Doctor Strange after they changed it over from Strange Tales. This is a really nice looking mid-grade copy. I have it graded a 5.5. I got extremely lucky on this. I got this off of the CGC forums and bought a big lot. The average price was $5 each. I think in this shape, this is probably worth closer to $45. I mean, it does have some wear right along the spine. I could see someone being really harsh and giving it only a 5.0 because of that. I still think it's a 5.5. It does have also a little bit of wear along the top. Looks like there's some overhang from the cover, which is common for the period. But given the iconic black cover here, and this has bright colors as you can see on the logo, really good gloss. I think it's solid 5.5, and I'm extremely happy with that deal. The back cover does have some tanning, which is a little odd because the front cover is so bright. Fantasy Quarterly #1. This is the first appearance of ElfQuest. This is, it's a high grade copy, which actually for this book is not saying anything, because even though it was extremely rare originally, however, in the early 80s, when ElfQuest was still coming out, the creators Wendy and Richard Pini found some unopened cases of this. I don't know how many, but for a while there, if you wanted a copy of this, you could just send in a few bucks and they would send you an unread copy. So there were a lot of uncirculated warehouse copies, basically. So it's actually unusual to find this in lower than like an 8.0, because most of the copies that are out there were from this warehouse find. This copy, again, is probably a 9.0. It's got a little bit of blended corners. I keep it from going higher. I paid $40 for that about 25 years ago, and I think it's still worth about $40 because there's, ElfQuest is a cult comic, and there's just so many, high-grade copies of that. There's a nice copy of Monster Frankenstein #2. I think a friend of mine actually gave this to me. It's got a bit of a miswrap, but it's probably still a good 7.0 or 7.5, and a great Plug cover. Here's my copy of Ghost Rider #1. It has some spine ticks here. Otherwise, I think this would grade out easily at an 8.0. Except it has 3 staple holes right up here. I don't know why someone decided to randomly staple the cover. The staples has been taken out. I ran this by some people on the CGC forums. The consensus was that with the staples, it's probably a 6.0, maybe a 6.5. So what we have here is a high-grade copy that gets a lower technical grade because of bizarre damage. I do have a couple more books like that coming later. Here's my Ghost Rider #5. Has some wear along here, and a little bit at the top. It's probably a 7.0 because of that. Very nice white, though, and as we've discussed, it's kind of hard to find. Here's an interesting book. It's House of Mystery 198, high-grade copy. Now, I got this in a big lot of reader copies of horror books. I paid just like $1 each for them, and most of them are all water damaged. I mean, they're real readers, which is fine with me. But just this one copy was in absolutely beautiful shape. It has a couple small flaws. One of them is, I can't actually even see it here, but somewhere along here it's got a bend. The comics, they used to put them in a rack. Kids used to flip the top and bend them. It does have a very, very tiny tick somewhere along the edge here. I can't really see it in this light. And a almost imperceptible color breaking dot there. And one right here as well. With the bend in it, it's probably an 8.5. I think it got pressed out. It would have a shot at a 9.2. It's just a great book. And that's the last one we'll be looking at for this video, because I've almost reached my time limit. But we've got a lot more coming up. So in the next video, we'll start right off the bat with some more Marvels. Some cool 15-cent Marvels with Avengers crossovers. So we'll see you in that video.